Welcome back to Whiskey Provisioner at West China Tea. We've got a return guest today. Our first return guest is going to be Mr. Davin Topel, who was our first original guest. Different format, different tea house. Let's see if we can do this again and make it better. Sohan.
We can
last time.
We can improve on that.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Don't watch the first
It was
one.
the first one.
Thanks for that introduction, Richard.
Oh, it's great to be back also because the summer's been pretty slow for us. And Sohan, everybody's been busy over the summertime. Davin's been out of the country. So we'll find out a little bit more of his adventures. You went to China earlier this year.
Yeah.
So you had some adventures.
Yeah.
And I've been selling whiskey.
The adventures of selling whiskey.
What kind of tea do you think you were going to do today, Sohan?
Oh, well, welcome back, Davin.
Thank
I
you,
loved
sir.
that last episode.
Thank you. Thank you.
Honestly, it was one of my absolute favorites because it involved pork in
That's
liquor.
right.
Where therefore, go watch it. I'm not going to say anything more about it, but definitely go watch the episode 1 of Whiskey Provisioner. And that's all I'm going to say. Pork. It's not halal.
It's not halal.
Yeah, the episode is
not
You can
kosher.
watch
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but don't yeah, it's great having you back. Getting to have you in the new tea house, and I'm super excited to see what you're bringing and catch up and hear how you've been doing. This is a white tea. This is called Unfolding Path, Hongdao, in Chinese. Unfolding Path. You got this, Corey? Zoom in on me. But yeah, it should be good light in here. I like this room a lot.
Yeah, it's a nice room.
No,
I like filming.
yeah, visiting here for the first time since you guys have moved in here. How long ago?
We opened like 5 months ago.
Okay, yeah. No, it's a unique spot. I definitely dig the vibe in here.
It's right in the bustling East 6th, East 7th Street, a bunch of cool restaurants.
Covered by a big old pecan tree in the back.
Yeah.
This is neat.
Oh, that's nice and earthy.
Yeah, white tea. This is aged in a cave. It's dried in a cave, really, is what I should say. It's cave-dried white tea. White tea is raw. It's just dried. You don't cook it. You don't massage it. You don't do anything to it. That's why it's got this really chaotic shape. It's not shaped like the other teas. It hasn't been rolled. It hasn't been straightened. It hasn't been twisted. And actually ends up taking up a ton of space. Loose white teas take up twice as much space as all the other kinds of tea. Just going to do a little Jenever and pound this guy.
So white tea it's not necessarily white, but the way that it's fermented.
White tea is it's the way that it's processed, and so you got 6 types of tea. They're all the same plant. They're all going to be, one's going to be unoxidized, and that's green tea. One is going to be all the way oxidized. That's black tea, what we call black tea in the West. What is called red tea in Chinese. So if you hear me say red tea,
Yes.
I will, because we're going to drink it. We definitely did last time.
Yep.
Then I'm talking about what we think of as black tea, like Lipton chai, Earl Grey. So you got unoxidized green tea, oxidized red tea. Oolongs are in the middle. Yellow tea is just slightly more than green tea.
Okay.
White tea is not cooked, and hei cha, the dark teas, are fermented. aka
Okay.
the Chinese call black tea. Super confusing there. But there's the fermented ones that are actually fermented, being broken down by microbes, and getting a earthy, dark, aged product. White teas are not cooked, and the meaning of that lies in understanding that you stop the oxidation of a tea by cooking it.
Okay.
So when you make green tea, what you're doing is cooking the tea. And you also cook the other kinds of tea. Yellow tea gets cooked after about 10% oxidation. Oolong gets cooked at some point during that process and then roasted with charcoal. Red teas don't have to get cooked, but if they don't get cooked, they get massaged to hasten the the oxidation.
Okay.
And then they'll dry them in the sun. But white teas don't get cooked and they don't get massaged. And so they start off unoxidized or low oxidation, but not as low as green tea, because during the time that they're drying out, they're oxidizing. While they're still wet, they're oxidizing. And then after they've dried out, they continue to slowly oxidize because they haven't been cooked.
Okay.
Cooking the tea stops the oxidation because it denatures an enzyme called polyphenol oxidase, and that catalyzes the oxidation of tea.
Okay.
When you cook it, you stop that. When you dry it, you stop the oxidation. When you cook it, you stop the oxidation. Both of those things need to be done to really halt the oxidation. And it's not halted, it's slowed way down,
Okay.
right? But green tea will go bad for that reason, because
Yeah.
green tea is green because it's unoxidized, it's fresh. If you lose that freshness, then the value of that green tea is going down. Whereas something like sheng pu'er, which is kind of green tea, but it's cooked at a lower temperature. It's dried in the sun. It's more oxidized coming off the floor than a green tea would be. These modern green teas, they're cooked at higher temperature. They're dried faster with charcoal, or with hot air in an oven, something like that. They're can be baked dry with heat, and they dry very quickly. And so the duration that they're uncooked is oxidizing time. The duration that the leaves are wet is also oxidizing time. The duration that both of those things are happening, it's oxidizing quite quickly.
Yeah.
Right. And so depending on what you're trying to do, that's how you're going to manage the tea. White tea doesn't get cooked, and so it traverses. It is supposed to oxidize. Unlike green tea, which goes bad when it oxidizes, white tea gets better when it oxidizes because it's maturing.
But then eventually, as it dries, it stops the oxidation.
It slows
it
down.
down.
So it's when drying it out slows it part way.
Yes.
And then because it hasn't been cooked, it continues to slowly oxidize because this enzyme remains active. But the tea is dry. It's hard for things to oxidize when they're dry, in a general sense.
So putting this into a cave, would that slow the drying process?
It slows it down. And so you get these more oxidized notes that are like an aged white tea. Aged white tea, they say 1 year tea, 3 years medicine, 7 years treasure. That's how they describe the aging of white tea. So this is fresh white tea, but it tastes aged because it was dried in a cave.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It was the smell of it dry was actually, I thought it was aged. Yeah. But it's not. It's just how it's aged.
Right. How it's dried, it gets that cave drying.
Is there any other environments that you would dry it in to create a different effect?
That's good. Yeah.
The sun and with charcoal. Those are the other two drying conditions. Sun dried and charcoal dried, or dried inside of a building or under a roof with like fans.
Okay.
But that's kind of a shitty way to do it.
Right.
Like
It's your temperature controlling.
Your humidity controlling, your temperature controlling. That's like the industrial process. It creates inferior tea, like time after time after time. And this is my empirical experience of being up there. That is what it does. That process makes
me
the tea
think
bad.
of malting floors and the way that the barley is dried.
That's right.
Yeah, because it will affect the final product.
And how long and how hot it's kilned for, and that malting floor is heating up. That basically what you're trying to do is stop the germination process of that malt, and so the least amount is what's called 2-row. So you heat the germinating malt that's come off the plant that's on the floor, and you're heating it up to halt the process, because inside that husk, inside that seed, there is enzymes in there that are going to help with fermentation. And so that's why malted barley is used in whiskey production, because that it's getting the natural enzymes from the interior of that seed in there. And then if you want to change the flavor, you have to add some 2-row to add the enzymes, but then the flavor changing is by killing these malts more and more, which give them, just like you would if you were to cook rice or something, and you get a toasted rice, right? And then you start to get a charred rice if you cook it beyond.
Right.
They each have their own individual flavor profile, and you'll blend those in different ratios to give you different flavor components, and it's mainly in the beer side of things.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if in tea, because what's happened is that process, that malting floor is being consolidated. You can go to a person that just does your malting and your kilning for you. Do you have that in tea where you send things off to a place for separate aging and processing?
Yes, absolutely. Specifically oolongs. You'll see oolongs being grown and initially processed by one person and then finished by someone else.
Okay.
And that's like the relationship is the farmer grows it, the farmer does steps 1 through 15 or whatever like that, and then they sell the half-finished tea, which is called mao cha. They sell the mao cha en masse to a tea master who is a different person who then roasts it with charcoal, and his job is, or her job, is just to roast that tea with charcoal. And do that one last step. It's called tanbei. It's a very important step in determining the ultimate quality and character of an oolong tea traditionally.
And is that done by someone else completely as well? Or is that done by...
Yeah, you got the farmer who does all these steps, and then that last step, just that tanbei step, that's someone else. They're a completely different person. They're buying the half-finished tea from these farmers, and then they're roasting it, and that's their product now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So,
Sourcing
yeah.
it from the same guy, because he's the first guy is making the best, and he's doing the process the way that this second guy really wants it done.
The second guy goes out every year and runs up and down the mountains and tries all the tea
and knows
that
which
year.
guy to get it from.
They find out which guy to get it
Yeah.
from because they spend 8 hours drinking the same tea over and over, half finished. I did this with him this past time. Along, who makes most of our Phoenix oolongs. I went and did this with him. Me and one of my team members went and rode in the car with him through these curvy mountain roads, going up the mountains, and just like boom, we're at this guy's house, smoking cigarettes, drinking tea, smoking cigarettes, drinking tea. Okay, drinking another tea. Okay, same type of tea, just a different patch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same family, same cultivar, because the cultivars all are ripe at the same time as each other. You know what I mean? They're not all at once. There's like 8 immortals is happening today. So you go and you try 50 different 8 immortals, you know, from like 30 different families. And you're just chain smoking, you're drinking half finished tea, which is really intense and kind of hard on your stomach.
Right.
And he would bring around a jar of lard with honey to coat his stomach so it didn't mess up his stomach. Because it's like very hard on your stomach,
Oh,
this
yeah,
half finished
yeah.
tea. It's very like
It's-
raw.
High acidity, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't think the chain smoking helps. But
I was gonna say, like, is there a reason for the smoking?
he
Is
says
there, or
it's
is it
part
just,
of it's part of the deal. I was like, Along, I can't smoke this much. And he looks at me, he takes a drag, he looks at me, he goes, I'm tasting tea.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing. I'm tasting tea. This is what we do when we taste
Yeah,
tea.
yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm
but
gonna guess it because it does harshen up your palate, so it makes you have to pull. It may have to really search for those flavors that he's looking for.
I don't think that there's a reason for it other than Phoenix oolongs make you want to smoke cigarettes.
I was gonna say just
those
like cocaine makes you want to
particular
smoke
teas,
chain smoke. It's like
exactly.
this is my cocaine.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason. I think that's the
Okay,
only way
I'm
you can
tasting
endure
tea.
the process is to
Yeah.
like chain smoke. Mm-hmm. He chain smokes kind of in
I'm
general.
going to ask the stupid question because I know you've tasted through multiple barrels before to try and find and make a final product. Tasting through all of those teas from all of the different patches, you are able to determine the differences and which ones you like and which ones you didn't
I'm
like.
not.
No?
He is.
Yeah,
He's
right.
the tea master. You know, he I don't know shit. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Malcha is supposed to taste like. I've tasted a bunch of Malcha, but I'm not. You have to like putting your hands on the tea and roasting it and smelling them going from completely unfinished, you know, half finished
Mm-hmm.
to all the way finished through that process. And that's like years and years and years of experience.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to look for in a Malcha. He tried to educate me a little bit. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that good at it. You know what I mean? But he's like, taste this. Where do you think the flaw in the processing was? I'm like, I don't fucking know, dude. I got no idea.
yeah.
But
It's the
That's-
whole Napoleon Dynamite of this cow got into the
exactly,
onion pasture.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
how do you?
know, he's
how
that
can
he's
you-
that guy. He's
Yeah.
that guy, and you gotta live that life. You know what I mean? You gotta live that life. You know,
Yeah.
it's not, you don't learn that in school.
No.
You learn that in the streets, in the
And that's
mountains.
one of the things that you do as well, tasting for the
Yeah.
flaws in those products.
Tasting for the flaws, and it's funny because like I don't think about that. When I'm tasting people on single barrel picks and things like that, we're having them try 6 barrels of barrel strength whiskey, and we're right. Like I can pick out all these different flavors, but sometimes I forget by probably the third one or even the second one for people who aren't around it all the time. Like I'm just tasting. I'm sure that I'm just tasting whiskey. Like I'm not pulling out any of these things that you're tasting, and so I can see how that can be. Yeah, but in somebody who's in it all the time, it's just natural. Like you're not okay, so you're not getting these things. Like, all right, well, there is something that is sparking, a light with each one of these barrels within these companies and things like that. But it's true. It's not an easy thing unless to pull apart 15 different flavors out of a whiskey or a tea for that matter.
Well, and the interesting thing about tea specifically is that the tea being good isn't necessarily about what flavors are in it and the drinker's ability to discern those flavors.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the overall, do you like drinking this tea?
Mm-hmm.
When you drink it, do you feel like, oh, this is good?
Yeah.
Right? And it's this very subjective thing, but people agree on it. It's a very, whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily need to be articulatable as tastes and smells.
Okay.
Those are important, but they're not the most important. The most important is what's called the chi of the tea, which is how you feel when it touches your lips and you drink it. And so you have, which is nice in a way because it's very accessible. ultimately it's whether you like it or not, which I think is true for spirits. You
Yeah.
know, ultimately
Yeah.
there's spirits like I really like Jameson. I don't think it's the best whiskey that's out there, but it's like on a visceral somatic level, like I'm like, it reminds me of things, and also it's just like it feels good in my body. It's like, you know, it feels good for my constitution, as such as it, you know, it is. I feel like that's something that was obviously part of why people care about whiskey in the first place, and wine and coffee and beer and all those things, and I wish it'd be more part of like the discourse. And I think that's what's really cool about when you brought in the Pachuga. It was that like, this is obviously very spiritually imbued. There's a lot of intention and meaning has gone into this, and that's really cool. I think that's when I do like spirits like really nice mezcals, for example. I feel a lot of like connection and intention and like spirit in it, beyond just the taste and the smells.
Right, just the regular production of something.
Which we should drink whatever it is.
The
you
gin
brought
over
before.
there,
This tea
yeah,
is not good anymore.
And that's a big thing for me is why this gin, and what is it about this gin that makes you want to bring it here and show it to us?
Yeah, so this gin is from the Gordon Castle Walled Garden in Scotland. It's in a town called Fauquebers, and the Spey side of Scotland, in the Highlands. So this is really kind of the areas. Everybody's seen Braveheart, so William Wallace and where he was. That's pretty much where this gin has originated from. And so I brought this here because I'm working with the Gordon Castle Walled Garden Gin, who is making the botanicals that are in this are from their botanical garden. It's the largest botanical garden, walled garden in the UK. And they're using their botanicals to create the different flavor profiles in this gin. Scotland has a lot of history, obviously. It's got a lot longer history than the United States, so it's always just kind of a whimsical place to think about and go and visit and just learn about the history. So this company reached out to me to create some cocktails for them for the Highland Games this last May. And so they just started doing the Highland Games, I believe, back in 2014. The castle itself was built 400 years ago by the Gordon clan and used to host the inaugural games. So if you think about the Highland Games, it's a lot like the rodeo. It runs on a circuit, right?
Okay.
And then the last one ending at Castle Balmoral, the castle in the UK. And so Gordon Castle has always been the inaugural. And they actually, over the course of World War I, World War II, there was a lot of disrepair within the castle and death taxes and things like that went on, and the castle just started to slowly be sold off brick by brick. So there is still a proportion of the castle that's existing, and along with the garden, an 8-acre garden there, and they actually have people stay at the castle and do a hospitality there. There's fishing, hunting. So the fishing, they have the longest stretch of the River Spey, which is 9 miles that they own. So they have several beats, which are just sections of the river that you can fly fish from. Scotland is a lot like Texas, where it's all privately owned, but they do open up the rivers and places like that for people to pay to come fish and things like that. So Scotland has always been kind of on my bucket list, being kind of the birthplace of fly fishing. The Spey cast was literally named after the Spey River. It's a certain style of casting to get your line further out on the river for these large Atlantic salmon. And then also being the birthplace of whiskey. Fauquebers is a town that sits in an area that has 60 distilleries in a 30-mile radius. So from the castle, you could be 15 to 30 minutes away from any one of the distilleries that we all know. It used to be, the Gordon Castle used to own the lands of Glen Farclas, Glen Levitt, all of these different distilleries that you already know quite a bit about.
Right.
But if you can imagine, 60 distilleries,
Wow.
all within this area. Forsyth Stills, that's in that same area. Those stills are being built there. So there's a lot of heritage and legacy and history in this place. Instead of Scotch or whiskey, they actually produce this gin.
So they're growing their own botanicals there on their own gardens.
That's right. And they have their own barley on site,
Oh,
so they're
wait,
making
so they're
their own
actually-
beer.
Are they making their own liquor?
So they're not for this, we've discussed before. So this is vodka again. It's more economic to make it with a vodka base.
So it's the botanicals.
So the
that's
botanicals are
what
what's
they're
making
saying.
this
It's
in,
like,
yeah.
okay.
To make to make the barley, to use the barley and make a whiskey, it's very highly uneconomic. But they are making their own beer from barley on site, apple cider, apple champenois. From the apples that
I
are
don't know
on
what that
site.
last thing is.
Champenois
I have no idea what that is.
is
It
a
usually means in the method of making champagne.
yeah, but it's not in the region of Champagne in France. So
And
in
it's
order
not
for
grapes, it's apples.
yes, you got it. Yeah, so it's a sparkling wine here in the United States, Champagne in the Champagne region of France.
How is that not apple cider?
That's probably why they're saying that. They're trying to elevate the
Yes.
product so that you're not.
It's a fermented apple cider though.
Yeah.
It is still
I
alcoholic.
thought apple cider was fermented.
No, not all. No, hard apple cider is.
In most of the English-speaking world, when they say apple cider, they mean hard apple cider.
Right,
I think they got another name, like the Martinellis. I don't think they have that in the UK. I don't know if they have that or not, but they don't think it's apple cider.
Yeah.
In the U.S., those ciders tend to be
I love those things.
seasoned and spiced and sweet. Where if they were trying to do a champagne method, they're going to want crisp and sparkling and fresh, especially for
Yeah.
the Sunday brunch crowd.
That's cool and all. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that you don't call it apple wine. I know that exists,
Yeah.
but you don't hear people talking about that.
Right.
And it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
In Vermont, it's a big deal. It's apple country. I went over there for a brandy making class, and the reason we went there was because it was so they do so much apples, and it's where some of the best apples come from. And there's a big difference between apple cider and then like you go to a place where they specialize in it. It's off the charts. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I bet the best stuff is like something you get fresh. Okay, I've got one more
All
good
right.
steeping of this, so we should do it as a
let's
pairing. I'll
get
save
some
it for
gin.
We got it.
Ginny
in there,
gin,
yeah.
gin.
I really do. I think the white tea, since my first visit, like this is the chi is speaking to me on
There
this
you
one.
go.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
I was because I do like the other ones, but this one right away was like,
I
oh,
heard you.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like
yeah.
okay, I think
That's-
I'm
that's-
a white tea guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
There's some
Okay,
glasses
cool.
right there, Davin.
Okay.
We could even
Yeah.
drink other white teas if we know
Yes.
that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because if the aged white teas do go with whiskey, like we've got the
Okay.
2020 that could stand toe to toe with a whiskey. Also, you're making another gin, right? You're doing
Yeah, so actually the last time we were talking about gin, we
Genever.
talked about Genever, the different.
like the Genever Convention.
Yeah, there you go. I've seen it spelt with the letter J. So
And it's, in
Like
I
Jennifer.
think it's
Yeah.
in Iceland. I think it's Jenever.
Genever.
Jenever.
Genever.
So yeah, depending on the culture you're coming from, they pronounce it differently, they spell it differently, and so whatever you do, it's wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Just like Scotch, when you spell it and you're pronouncing Scotch, you just don't have enough brogue in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, that's bright.
And that's I mean, I don't want to start saying things. I want you guys to kind of pull apart what you guys.
I got juniper. I get some like black peppery kind of note.
Oh yeah, yep.
As far as
Citrus.
what's in it, yeah, I don't know what they put in gin. What do they grow in Scotland?
They
I don't
grow
know,
pretty much.
sage or something.
They grow pretty much everything that any of the growing states here. They have very fertile lands over there. You know, you drop a watermelon seed or you spit out a watermelon seed, a watermelon will start growing. Right
Scotland
in there.
slaps. I love Scotland. I'll say this, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but I went to the UK, and I went to London, and I went to Bath, and I went to Brighton, and I went to Edinburgh, and I really liked Edinburgh.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So So Edinburgh's on the west side. Did you get outside of Edinburgh?
No, I was just in
Okay.
Edinburgh, but Edinburgh is
But it's yeah. I mean,
Gorgeous, most
Yeah.
beautiful city I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And I've been to some really nice cities, but like as far as like per square, like some cities got a nice part, like the old town, and then there's like urban.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like Edinburgh is just really cool. It's like very whimsical and very
Yes.
beautiful, and like
Yeah.
you're in like Hobbiton, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, and the whole city's like that, and they don't. It's because they don't let them build tall buildings.
Yep.
You know, they
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
care about the heritage. You know,
Yeah.
care about the culture. Also, people in Scotland were very, very warm and nice and
Yes.
friendly. And people in England were not. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I'm sure the English are great, but and I met some really great English people when I was there. But the Scottish are distinctly much warmer people than the English.
I wasn't sure. This is my first time outside of the country besides going to, Oaxaca. I've been to Canada when I was a child, but off of this continent. And I wasn't sure what to expect, but the people there were
So nice,
extremely,
so nice.
It was like being in Texas or in
Like being in
Minnesota.
Texas, exactly.
It was so strange because I've been to other states and Texas is one of it's by itself. Like
Yeah.
you don't really meet too many people like that. Go across the pond and go to Scotland.
Yeah.
We flew into Heathrow, but we didn't spend much time. We flew into Heathrow and basically ran to our plane to jump over to Aberdeen, and then just drove about an hour and a half straight north from Aberdeen. Is where
Great.
this is. Yeah, and it
Well,
was beautiful.
cheers to Scotland.
Cheers
to the
to
Scotland
Scotland.
and the Scottish. And here's for your independence in the next vote.
There's some sweetness to this.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
It is sweet.
What's the proof?
I'm so used to drinking freaking like
this is
barrel strength whiskey.
I have to
It's
check
like anything
too.
that's not
But it
that
should be
is
80 proof.
super smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not overproofed or anything like that.
Anything under 100 proof is just like
Yeah.
a sparkling beverage to
There
me
you
at
go,
this
yeah.
point.
So it is 46 or 43. So it is
Okay.
86.
86%.
Yeah.
86.
So higher than 6%.
We're always drinking
points higher.
cask strength whiskey on the show. It's like 90% of what we drink is
What is
cask
this,
strength
water?
whiskey. No, it's so nice. I'm like, it's like a cocktail.
So
And it's also so
water.
flowery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whiskey's not flowery like this. So.
Very, very floral.
All right. Back to the notes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously juniper. I don't know. I just don't feel like they would grow coriander. Maybe coriander. Maybe almost like I want to say.
cilantro grows quite easily for
Yes.
making some coriander seeds, and they've
Yeah.
got a long enough season where they're going to get seeds off of their cilantro. Now, because it's Scotland, I want to say heather because it's like in my head.
Yep. And it does.
Is there heather in it?
Yeah, there's.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
So
yeah.
yeah. I'll let you keep going.
Okay,
You
yeah,
guys can
yeah.
pick out
Okay.
any more. I don't want to. Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting citrus too, but I'm
Yeah.
also like, there's no. Are they growing some oranges in Scotland? Are they growing oranges in there? Fuck. Damn.
anywhere. Yeah. Like I said, it's anything that you can think of in the United States that think of like North Carolina, like how black dirt fertile that ground is. Like that's kind of the same. The same moisture in the air, and just everything is just green.
It's got to be like there's like something else going on though, because like Scotland's at the same latitude as like what, like Minnesota or some shit.
But there's a lot of greenhouses as well, where when the British Empire was running around the world, they're bringing samples back to these greenhouses and we're
Sure.
trying to cultivate and grow things like citrus and limes and things like that.
They're very well known for their gardens, just in the UK in general. But this, there's a lot of cloud cover. There's still a lot of sunlight, but a lot of that sunlight and UV is coming through the clouds. And so you have a lot of cloud cover, so you're not burning up your plants or anything like that.
That's good.
So it's just, like I said, everything is lush, green.
Is there any honey in there?
Isn't it freaking snowing?
It gets cold, but it doesn't necessarily snow.
Okay.
I think if it snows, yes, there will be accumulation, but not like ski slopes.
Okay,
The
okay,
elevation,
okay.
I don't think is there for that.
Okay. Word. All right, we got some tea now, so we can
Okay.
pair it.
So is this a red tea?
No, this is the white tea still.
This is
it's
still-
just later in the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a white tea person. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
And I
it's
think
good with
this
the
too.
gin. Yeah, it's good with the gin. It's really good. I want to say something kind of zippy in there.
Not really getting peppercorns.
Maybe not an actual peppercorn. I'm getting a peppercorn note. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Maybe not actual, because that's like, they grow those in like India. But maybe they could grow them in Scotland. I don't know. Scotland keeps surprising me.
I'm just gonna like there are things in Scotland and in the UK that I think of. If I was going to make a gin, there was a process for forcing rhubarb
Yeah.
that I saw
Okay.
on a documentary where they put the rhubarb in a house with like tiny light above, and the rhubarb grows clear and sweet, and it's just trying to reach for the light, so it grows really, really large. And they get this really sweet rhubarb. I would put rhubarb into a gin.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like rhubarb veal.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Rhubarb veal?
that's like rhubarb veal.
Oh, you put it into a room.
You put it
give
in
it just a
box,
little bit of
yeah,
light.
yeah.
Torture the
They keep
rhubarb?
it in like a little
Torture it,
box.
make it deformed, make it developmentally disabled and developmentally crippled.
Where they put the watermelons in the square
very
square
tender.
molds. Yeah.
Exactly. Tender and pale.
Yeah.
Like a milk-fed veal.
It's
It
almost-
doesn't walk,
it's
so
almost
pale.
clear.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just stuff a bunch of food into its liver too.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what are the actual botanicals?
So one of the ones that I noticed when I first tasted this, there is citrus in here. There's so you get some lemon and things like that. But one of the ones that I pulled out right away that there is mint in there, and so you
I
don't
was gonna
see a
say
lot
that.
of mint, and that's where that zippy characteristic I feel like because it is subdued that it kind of comes off as just it's not spicy peppery, but it does have kind of that pink peppercorn and just that mint citrus.
Which mint is it?
This is a spearmint.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then there is lavender in there as well.
Oh.
Lavender goes a long ways.
Yeah, the other one that I would think is like rose hips or rose petals. 'Cause that would be typical for me to think of. And
Right, and you get all these floral botanicals.
yeah.
Yeah. But
UK botanical.
coriander is basically the number 2 ingredient in most all gins.
What is this?
It's juniper.
Passing this?
It's juniper and then coriander. You're going to add a lot of juniper and you're going to add a lot of coriander into most gins.
So the last time we did gin, we were talking about Genever, and this one, I said, well, if we're going to do gin today, let's actually have a sample so that we can have a better conversation.
I'm glad you brought it. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is a different product entirely from the nose.
Well, hold on. Let me get some tea ready for you.
All right.
So that I'll smell it in just a sec. Let me get some tea ready. What am
So
I
we're going
gonna
to try a
make?
different tea with this one.
Different tea,
So let's just
different,
go ahead and-
different tea, different liquor, different tea.
White tea.
And let me smell this one. Oh, it's in front of me.
Yep.
Ooh, you know what? This reminds me of Baijiu. Baijiu must be like that because
Little funky.
this is Grandpa with his still,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
he don't have a thermometer and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just eyeballing it all.
There's a lot of choices that you can make while you're distilling, and how fast you do your runs, how slow you do your runs. You're going to pull out different notes. The different pieces of equipment that you use, you can pull out different notes. How deep you go into the tails are going to bring out different flavors as well. And that's what you were talking about earlier, that this goes a little deeper into the tails.
Yeah, the way I kind of explain Genever is that it's the that's mild. This is the beginning of gin, where gin came from. So gin itself, the way that it's produced nowadays, is through technology. As technology got better, but Jenever was made before gin because the technology to make gin wasn't there. I'll explain a little deeper. Jenever is a clear spirit. It's made from malted barley, and so it starts off as a white whiskey, it's essentially. Whereas gin base is vodka, and it can be made from anything. It could be made from barley, corn, rye, wheat, whatever. But you have to put that base spirit into the still and distill it 19 times plus.
And that's
the
what
way
makes
that
it
you
vodka?
do that,
Is that
yeah,
you
because
distill it
every
so
time
many
you
times?
distill it, yep, and I'm sure, you remember that from our last one. Every time you distill something, the higher the proof, the more neutral the flavor. You're stripping out flavor every time. So they didn't have that technology way back when distilling started. What they did have was pot stills. And so this was started in a pot still. Maybe it was distilled once, maybe it was distilled twice, but essentially this was made from a white whiskey. It was only distilled once or twice, retaining a lot of the flavor of the original mash bill, which was malted barley. Then it was, as you can smell, it's a little funky. And so what they started to do was, all right, well, let's start adding some botanicals to it. Those botanicals ended up being juniper and coriander and, really whatever they had around. And so when you think of bathtub gin, this was what original bathtub gin, because even when the technology was there to distill vodka, bathtub gin was easier to make because it was just basically a tea kettle. You put your fermented grain into a tea kettle and distill it, and then add botanicals to that. And so the way that you would get a lot more yield is if you dropped the cut point. So you want to make those cut points. Remember, heads are the bad stuff, the poisons, those come off first. Then you're into the hearts cut, and that's a real clean, crisp spirit. Eventually that clean, crisp spirit starts to kind of wane and get into some funkier flavors where we're starting to get into the tails, and that's where you know when you want to make that cut point for your whiskey. Well, with this, it's still good, it's still fine, it's not going to kill you, so that cut point gets real deep because, again, we spent all this time and money on this, why throw that down the drain? And so, no, let's bottle it up. But in order to make it taste better, because there's so much tails in there, let's add some botanicals to this. And that's where Genever started.
What are some of the spirits that decide to do just one distillation run?
I'm sorry?
What are some of the spirits that decide to do just one distillation run?
Moonshine. It's because of it's time consuming, and also you get a smaller yield.
Right.
So why would you so every time you put something back into the still to redistill it to make it cleaner, you're getting less.
And you're burning fuel.
Yeah, and you're burning fuel. It's less this is just a quick, easy. It tastes a little funky, but hey, let's throw some things in there to try to make it a little bit better. So they throw it into a bathtub or a tub of some sort with some botanicals, and then you get this. And nowadays, this is something that the people of Amsterdam, and you can see it was Bowls was established. This is one of the first one that was actually produced, established in 1575.
Yeah.
If you go back and find history, this is one of the first distilled wholesale liquors that was available.
Wow, so they've been making this product, they've been making this whole time.
Yeah, the Bowls family.
Cool.
Right.
That's cool. Damn.
Yeah. And so
that's 400 something years.
Right.
It's 450 years.
Yeah. So if you think, that was the year that around the year that the castle was first built.
Holy crap.
Right.
Well, cheers to the Bowles family. That is a quite an admirable accomplishment in the world of business to remain making a single product, let alone staying in business for 450 years running.
My first introduction to Bowls is as a liqueur or cordial company, making a lot of different flavored spirits.
And they're still to this day making a lot of those flavored spirits, the liqueurs and things like that. And this product is, oddly enough, it's probably one of their least selling now, but it used to be for a very long time. I think even in the early 1900s, this was the bee's knees. This was it.
Before they had gin.
Before they had gin, yeah. Well, even still, even when they had gin, people's palates still appreciated this. Now all of our palates have been pushed over to vodka and clean, crisp spirits, whereas gin was too floral for people that grew up on this, right? And so they appreciate it. Again, it's that same thing that you're talking about. It's transcendent, right? It takes you to a place. It's very subjective, right? Why do I like this? Well, it takes me back to when I was a kid and I used to drink Bowls, or my grandma did, right? And I remember this flavor and smell so much more than this. Is just so pungent and juniper forward. Now give me the Bowls, right?
Yeah. Right. And this is making me really realize that there are a lot of liquors that taste like this because of the same idea. It's a single distillation run. like mezcal.
I was gonna say,
like
mezcal has some of these.
Baijiu, yeah.
Yes, like Baijiu, like has a lot of these flavors.
Lao Lao, which they drink in Lao. The Lao people drink Lao Lao. It's whiskey. It's white whiskey.
Yep. So I'm thinking of cassachas tend to be a little bit earthier, a little more.
And it's just has to do with that deeper cut into the tails, which why throw that out? Why would nowadays Americans we and Scotch we make these low or these higher cut points because we can, right? But back in the day, like you're gonna throw that out. Some of these would be distilled down to 0, and the only reason they wouldn't distill it down to 0 is because of either the yield at the top end, and you don't want to dilute it dilute the alcohol too much,
Right.
and that's based on, again, flavor. What's the proof on this even? It's probably 42, yeah.
42%, 84.
And so these, as opposed to being distilled to like when we're making whiskey, we're bringing it down. Our final product will be, probably still in the 120 zone. Well, no, not probably about 100 zone. And then you proof that down with water to get it to barreling strength. And so, it's 140. What am I talking about?
Right.
So your final product is about 140. Then you got to proof that down to at least 125 because that's legal barreling cask.
Entry, yep.
Whereas these were proofed down just strictly through, so it got down to 42 without using water, but just letting it drop naturally. And then that's when they know when to make the cut point because we're at 42. Pull it.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then they actually had to distill the herbs somewhere in the process because this is a clear spirit. So if they actually did more of a tea, steeping, this would actually have color on it from the botanicals.
So that one, was that a tea?
This is in the distillation process. All gins are going to be either in the distillation process, or there are extracts that can be added, or there are.
Can they just be straight infused?
They can be straight. They can be straight infused, but again, like Richard is saying, then you're going to end up having some of the colors from those botanicals, and so that's not typically done anymore. They'll infuse it in barrels, or not barrels, but in stainless steel totes, and then redistill it to get it to go clear. But for the most part, all gins, it's going to be within the process. The botanicals are going to go into the still.
So people don't want the color. It sounds like it could be really pretty. I guess that's like chartreuse or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then you're in like a different family of
Right.
liquors.
Yep.
Interesting.
And so chartreuse is just that. That's where it gets that color is, the wormwood or the whatever it was finished
All
off
the
with.
secret herbs and
Right,
spices.
the
that
125.
only 3 monks know it.
So what is this tea? Because that has a little bit of earthy umami there too.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is white tea. This is aged white tea. It's from 2020, 5 years old. It was 1 year tea, 3 years medicine, 7 years treasure. So this is a 5-year-old white tea, post medicine, pre treasure. Not that that's like a strict thing. It's just a cute thing that people say.
Okay, so it's not necessarily it doesn't mean that it's healing or. It doesn't mean higher value. Anything that's medical is higher value, and anything that's treasure is even higher value.
Yeah.
There is an implication that it is more therapeutic.
Okay.
And the idea with tea is that all tea is good for you because it's from Chinese herbal medicine. That's where tea comes from.
Sure.
It used to just be one of the herbs. Just like when you're making a gin, those recipes were medicinal, and they had all these different plants, and they're putting them together for these medicinal purposes. Tea was just like any one of those herbs, and then one day this guy Wu Yu was like, no, separate this out. This is its own culture. He created tea culture. He wrote a book called the Cha Jing, and he separated tea out from the other Chinese herbs and said, this isn't just medicine. This is there's something more going on here. This is an object of appreciation. This is it's got this spiritual capacity. It's got this meditative quality, and it should be enjoyed in and of itself without adding other things to it. And that's why we drink tea plain.
Yes.
Right. That's nowadays we drink tea plain, and because they used to put all kinds of other stuff in it, salt and goji berries and red dates and ginger and all kinds of things, and boil it together. And he's like, no, just tea and salt, because they boiled it with salt back then. But he brought on the culture of tea is just like we treat whiskey or wine or something. It's not just something you consume. There's this culture to it.
Yeah.
There's something special to it. Yeah.
Which again, with all the traditions and all the rituals that you're doing, pouring over your sculptures and the tea toad, give it to the toad. It is. It's all ritual. It's very much the same thing. Like
The tea and the Genever are, you keep doing
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well,
little
he said he
pairings.
likes white tea, so.
Yeah.
oh
so
my
there you go.
gosh, I'm a white tea. Yeah.
Yeah, now you know.
Even after
Now you
this,
know.
I'm like, okay, I love this as well.
Yeah,
like
yeah. So what would make a tea good would be or make a tea or something we were just talking about that I had a thread on this one, but
treasure over.
treasure. Oh yeah, there is this feeling that when tea is good, again, not so much because it tastes and smells good, because it feels good. There's this understanding that it doesn't just feel good, it's good for you. And how good it feels is part of how good it is for you.
Okay.
And you're feeling how good it is for you and how good it feels, and that's the qi.
Yes.
You talk about qi in Chinese medicine, you talk about Chinese martial arts, you talk about in Chinese food.
Right.
It's the weather is qi, gasoline is qi. You can have the qi of a guest if you're being too polite with someone. They say don't have the qi of a guest. It means breath, right? And it's this, but beyond the physical breath, which it also means, is this kind of esoteric concept.
The life.
Right, the life
Okay.
force,
The life
but also the gestalt, the feeling of something.
Okay.
And so when we drink tea and when you feel what you're feeling, that's the qi of the tea, cha qi.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a tea valuable, and that's what you're getting more of as it ages. And so there's this idea that qi doesn't just make you say, that was good. It's also, this is therapeutic in some way.
Yeah.
And they don't think of medicine the way we do, where it's like, well, what is it good for? Does it starve stomach ache or solve like a headache?
Yes.
It's more like, this is just giving me, it's filling up my life meter. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
like not so
yeah.
much about what specific thing it's treating, but it's just good for me. What it really means is it's balancing to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's in some way it's bolstering or tempering or balancing my system so that it's in balance and vigorous and healthy.
If I was going to bring another gin, I would have probably brought the Real Spirits gin, and the botanicals in that. I think bottle brush, which is an interesting one, and the different native Texas. What native Texas botanicals are in the Real Spirits gin?
Yeah, so that one's a unique bird that it's actually a Jenever. But more Americans know gin better. So whenever I brought up Jenever, it being made that way, that it's made from a white whiskey, but it is, so we distill all of our stuff. We don't have a column still, which is what you need to make a vodka base for gin. So we make it in a pot belly still. So we're making a white whiskey, but we are distilling it. We distill our whiskey twice before barreling. For our gin and totem, we distill it 3 times, and that helps neutralize a little bit more of the flavor. But you still get this white whiskey flavor, which adds to the final flavor of that gin, which is one of the, we have 10 botanicals in there, so it's maybe the 11th, right? Is
Right.
that malt whiskey. And so, we use very basic gin botanicals. And it's, again, the juniper, coriander, the pepper notes that you'll get on ours. There's grains of paradise, and that's kind of it's a pepper that's used a lot in Jamaican jerk. That's what makes up the Jamaican jerk spice.
Wait, what is it?
Grains of paradise.
Grains of paradise, yeah.
And I'll replace that with like pepper at home. Like it's fantastic. It has kind of a tropical feel to it as well, besides its spice. And then we use a little bit of lavender, Blanco being the lavender capital of the world. But when I say a little lavender, I'm telling you, it's for a whole 250-gallon batch. It's literally just a sprinkle, a pinch of lavender, and you can still get it on the other side. And then, yes, one of the main characteristics that's different from many other distilleries, and I think we still are, the only distillery that uses the leaves of the bottle brush tree.
Oh, cool.
And so, if you know anything about the bottle brush tree, looks like the flowers look like the brush that you would stick into a bottle to clean out, right? It's pink, vibrant. We don't use the flowers, but the leaves are related to the eucalyptus plant. So they have this kind of menthol, sweet, fruity characteristic without being that overly menthol sinus clearing. You get some of the menthol out of it, and but it's something different. And so it definitely makes our gin kind of stand out. And then I use a short cut proof. If I went deep, it would be kind of more of a Genever. In fact, when I first started making that gin, when Real Spirits wanted me to make a gin, I looked, it's like, look, you don't have the equipment. You have a pot still, so gin is going to be hard. I can make a Genever. And so I made 2 different products. I made the Genever with the deep cut points because that's more economic. And then I made what gin is like tight cut point, more neutral in flavor, but it's not very economical to make. So I presented that to the team, and they were like, we want this, which was the higher cut point, which is pretty incredible because no other distiller would probably allow you to do that. It's just after explaining to them, like, well, look, we're dumping a lot down the drain of flavor and whatnot, but it's very crisp, it's clean, it's an expensive way to make it, and we try to keep the price down, but it is, it's a $50 bottle of gin, but it is worth every penny. It should be probably more
As a salesperson, I'm always looking for that story, that unique proposition. Like, why does this spirit exist, and how can I bring people over and tell them a story? And the main reason that I wanted to do this is you've got that same thing with the tea and the tea house. Is the tea has a story, it has a place, it has a time. It came from people that you met, places that you've been, and I like what we're doing here, and I like to continue on another episode with Davin Topel talking about some of the Scotch and the whiskies and the stories that he did over there in Scotland. Once again, Sohan, it's great to have you here at West China Tea. And Davin, thanks for coming along. Sohan, you have anything that you're selling at the moment? Something that people need to know about? Urgent.
Well, the teas that we drank, if you might be a white tea guy like Davin, then the Cave Age tea, Unfolding Path, Cave Dried.
Okay.
And then this is 2020 Hindsight. This is the one we're drinking. It's pressed into a cake. You can buy a whole cake of it, like a G. You know, have like a little disc, and then just break chunks off.
Cool.
And it's aged 5 years 2020, and those are the ones we drank on the episodes. You could be like us. You could just have the same experience, reenact the entire podcast.
That's right. And
Sure.
yes, the gin will be available in the United States very soon as well. So, like Sohan said, try everything that you've had here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
experience it.
There you go. And again, this is. I just want to just double check. This is a castle.
Yes.
With a garden,
Yeah.
and this is the castle. As the organization that produces this is the castle.
That's right.
Itself. They buy vodka and they distill their botanicals in it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Got it. And it's from their walled garden, and that's what it is. Okay, cool. And I guess this is like some aristocrat owns this castle. Like, who is this castle?
Yeah,
it's like
a lot of the
a
culture
baron?
over there. It is. It's all passed down family to family member. So there is a lot of history. Like I said, I'll be doing some hosted trips, some fishing and hunting hosted trips over there.
Oh, perfect.
Where you'll actually be able to stay at the castle. And you will be staying at the castle, and the owners of the castle, yes, it is the Gordon family still owns the castle, and you will learn all of the history. What's called the Cock of the North is part of the family history, and the Cock of the North was part of the Gordon family back in the 1500s, and they decriminalized whiskey making. So it was very much moonshine back in the day, and it was that Cock of the North back in the 1500s that actually decriminalized whiskey making, which allowed distilleries to legitimately start doing what they do to this day. So there's a big history with whiskey and the castle itself.
Well, let's open the next episode with the Cock of the North.
Yeah.
There you go. Davin, you've got some social medias that you'd like to share so that we can follow your hunting, your fishing, your cocktail creations.
Yeah, so I'm found at Davin Whiskey River Davin Whiskey River Topel on Instagram, and that's where you're going to find all my hunting, fishing excursions. I do hosted trips, guided trips here in the Texas Hill Country, but everything usually ends with a glass of whiskey or gin. So,
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers,
I appreciate
guys.
having you here.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Boop.